Yeah. The happiness that I start feeling around this time of year. There's orange shit and leaves and crunchy dead trees. It makes me happy. It makes me really, really happy. Hi. How are you? I hope you're doing okay. What a better way to finish off summer than to just rot in your room reading until it's over and it starts raining again. So I thought I'm gonna be sharing with you. I thought I'd share with you some books to read, to say goodbye to summer with, and to welcome fall with. A bunch of books that for some reason my brain thought these would be perfect to finish off summer with. And I read them, and they gave me that vibe. They all gave me that lovely, crunchy vibe feeling. If you know what I mean. If you're an Octo bitch, you would understand what I mean. If you were like obsessed with fall and stuff, you'd know what I mean. Which I hope you are, because I am, and it's good to be like this together. And I forgot to get any of the books, so I'm gonna go get them. If you've watched me for a little bit or follow my Goodreads or whatever, you'd know how much I absolutely love Neil Gaiman. And recently I went on just a Neil Gaiman bender, and I've loved every minute of it. So I'm gonna be sharing some short stories with you, especially if you love short stories and you want something, just to pass the time, something quick and easy, then I got you. These are all collected and can be found in the Smoke and Mirrors book, which I highly recommend. I loved it so much. It was just comforting, and I don't know, what I think is comforting, I'm starting to understand that it's not comforting for everyone, but to me this was super comforting. It's like Coraline type of comfort, which I love. But some selected stories in the book that you can find on their own were top tier entertainment for my brain. Like, they were such a beautiful distraction. So we have Chivalry by Neil Gaiman, and it's such an interesting concept. So the story follows this old lady that goes to a thrift shop every time she collects her payment, whatever. Every time she collects her check, she goes to a thrift shop and just mulls around, and she likes collecting things, and it's like a reward to her. And one day she finds the Holy Grail. The actual Holy Grail that collected Jesus's blood. And she takes it and she puts it in her mantle, and everything is fine. Like, she's just like, oh yeah, that's the Holy Grail, I got it. With Neil Gaiman's type of writing, that scene is entertaining and beautiful and wholesome and mystical all at the same time. Like, Neil Gaiman is, I love him so much. Like, I love him so much. My favorite author of all time. I love him so much. Anyways. And then one day, this tall, angelic looking dude just comes to her neighborhood on a horse, and is just like, I will give you everything if you just give me the fucking Holy Grail. And then he starts offering her all these biblical things, biblical items, which I loved so much. So much. And I've been reading the First Testament recently, like one book at a time, and reading that with this made my brain mingle weirdly. I wouldn't recommend that. It's fun to read about these things in their biblical form and state and stuff, and then to read about them in a mystical fantasy type. It's such a huge inspiration if you're more artistically inclined, more creative person, stuff like this. It's such a huge inspiration for me to create, because you'd see the inspiration where it came from, and then you'd see the mystical aspect of it, the mystical version of it, I should say. Anyway, I loved Chivalry. Then The Goldfish Pool and Other Stories, also by Neil Gaiman. A lot of these are gonna be by Neil Gaiman because I love him, but so yeah. If I don't say by whom, it's by Neil Gaiman. The Goldfish Pool and Other Stories follows a dude who is a writer, like a script writer, and a book writer, an author, and then he gets commissioned to write a script, and then he gets flown off to this hotel or whatever, and then he meets a security guard that tells him stories about the hotel and stories about old Hollywood and stories from his youth, stories that the security guard has seen and has witnessed and stuff like that, and all the people in history that passed him. And I loved it. It reads as a movie, definitely, and it just it just made me feel comforted, and it just kept me all giddy and stuff. And most importantly, he tells him about the story that revolves around the goldfish pool that surrounds the hotel. Then we have The White Road by Neil Gaiman, which I loved. It was one of my all-time favorite stories from Smoke and Mirror. So if you've read, I actually had to revisit the Fox story, whatever it's called. I read the Fantastic Mr. Box. Oh my god, I read the Fantastic Mr. Fox, like the actual children's tale. And then the folktale iteration of it, The Story of Mr. Fox by Neil Phillip. What? Which is more bloody, more gory, which I love so much, and it's good. It's fitting for this time of year. It's fitting for fall, and it's just fitting, bitch. Okay. And now it was time to read The White Road, which is inspired by those stories and also the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, which I love so much. The Sweeney Todd Demon Barber of Fleet Street. I love Tim Burton. I love that fucking vibe so much. So it's inspired by both of those things, and I loved it. It's written in a, well, the structure of it is both a storytelling, a third POV storytelling, and also prose. Like, it's a mixture of two. I love that. It kept my brain intrigued and titillated and just entertained all the way through. Then it has Snow Glass Apples, which is Neil Gaiman's version of Snow White. I loved this one so much. Like, so much. Oh my god, it was so good. I'm so tempted to just read it to you because it's short. The art style is incredible. I think all of these books have both like just a normal story novel writing situation and also a not an animated, what is it, a graphic version. So if you're into any of these things and you like graphic novels, here it is. There it is, my guy. Next up, we have a weird little book that I loved, surprisingly. Okay, I am biased. Let's just say that. So, this is Pleasure's Daughter by Sidley Johnson, and I was warned when I was given this book. Okay, I was warned that it's not good. I was told it's shit, it's not good, it's badly written, it's badly executed, it's this, it's that, blah, 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 blah. I read it, it is none of those things. Is it the best written book that I've ever read in my entire life? Nah. But it's good, bitch. It's good. Not like good as in, oh, it's alright. It's good, you know? It's an erotica. With a sense of shame, Amelia observed how her new corset made her. I can't even read you the back of the book because I'm embarrassed, but it's a 1700s erotica. I liked it so much. Yeah, I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, and I ended up really liking it. It's absolutely ridiculous. It is so unrealistic. None of it happened. None of it could be close to realistic. Bitch, like, there were some scenes that are impossible. But I loved it. It was very entertaining, and it fits this type of, you know, these type of recommendations where there's just some books that are just good to entertain, you know? You're not wanting anything major from these books. You just want entertainment. I loved it. I loved it so much. I have a hard time with books written in this way. English is not my first language. It's like my fucking fourth language or whatever. And I do still to this day, even though I've improved tremendously, and you know, my English is it's good or whatever, but I still would have issues with the structure like this, written with like old English and stuff like that. But it works, bitch. I didn't even blink reading it. I loved it so much. Next up, we have Pulp by Charles Bukowski. I was going through it to try and read you a quote or two, and I found my psych ward entering thingy. So, Pulp for the mentally ill. God, using a psych ward entering badge thingy as a bookmark is crazy. Pulp, though, follows a sort of hard-wired, tightly wound detective who is following an impossible case, a case that is looking for someone who is known to be dead. I loved it. Anything by Bukowski I love, honestly. He's very realistic, he's very much absurdist, which I love. Everything that man says is just facts upon facts upon facts. I love his writing. I love how absurd it is. I love how grubby it is. I love how filthy it is. And recently I had a conversation with one of you on TikTok about Bukowski, and to reiterate the conversation, Bukowski, I had said that he's super real, and the person I was talking to told me that sort of just reflects humanity, and I wholeheartedly concur. Like, he is a reflection of our most like vile needs and thoughts and our most filthiest corners, and I love him so much because he's a real bitch, you know. Next up, a book to either comfort you or traumatize you while you wait for fall is A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. This is trauma, basically. The last paragraph of this book, there are multiple iterations of the last paragraph. There are multiple endings to the book, and every one of them is bad. There's no happy ending, but the end, though, lives rent-free, unfortunately so. Lives rent-free in my heart, in my being, in my bones, in my head. It is carved on the inside of my esophagus, okay? It feels like a wail. It feels like a call for help. It feels like trauma written in the most normal way, which makes it real. But because it's so real and because it's so somber and quiet, if that makes sense, the writing of it, the story, the progression of story, because it's so calming, it's not something you see, it's not something, in fact, the opposite, you wish, like you keep thinking that this is going to be actually good, that this is going to actually have a happy ending or a good enough ending. It's real. The ending is so realistic, and it just, not to mention that it's incredibly beautifully written, but the ending is just a shockwave, and I couldn't recommend this book enough. I love it so much. It follows a paramedic who is what's his name, Henry, and he is serving in the army, and he gets introduced to a nurse. Her name is Catherine, and there's this relationship happening between them, a relationship that is based on need and desperation because of the time, because of both of their situations, and it's so realistic. I loved it. Next up is a book that broke my heart recently. It is The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Okay, the fucking trauma, the hurt that this boy has went through. Okay, so this follows Fitz, a young boy who is left at the threshold of a barn and he gets taken in, and we follow him growing up, and then we understand that he is actually a bastard. He is the half kid of one of the princes. It's a kingdom, it's a high epic fantasy, and it is written to perfection, my guy, to perfection. I was going to rate this 4 because of the writing. Like I thought it was a little bit slow, I thought it was a little bit mentally draining until I got to the end, and I immediately rated it a 5. I cried so much. I loved it so much. The book is, I said this while I was reading it, and I'm saying it here, the book is deliciously written, deliciously fucking iterated, deliciously structured. That is the only word that comes to mind whenever I think of the writing of the book. It is gorgeous, and the characters have been through so much, and they have, like, the progression of both the story and the characters done to perfection, my guy, done to perfection. Young Fitz is the bastard son of the noble Prince Chivalry. Raised in the shadow of the royal court by his father's gruff stableman, he is treated as an outcast by all the royalty except the devious King Shrewd, who has him secretly tutored in the arts of the assassin. For in Fitz's blood runs the magic skill and the darker knowledge of a child raised with the stable hounds and rejected by his family. As barbarous raiders ravage the coasts, Fist is growing to manhood. Soon he will face his first dangerous, soul-shattering mission, and though some regard him as a threat to the throne, he may just be the key to the survival of the kingdom. I gotta say, the story went into ways where I didn't really see it come in. It took its time going there, but whenever it got there, it made the pacing of the story both make sense and be immensely worth it. I highly recommend this book. I'm going to finish this read. Oh, this is a trilogy, by the way. It doesn't end on a huge cliffhanger or whatever, but it will end leaving you wanting more. It's called the Farseer trilogy. We have the Assassin's Apprentice and then Royal Assassin, and the last book is called the Assassin's Quest, and it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. The last book that I have to accompany you in the threshold of fall is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Oh my god, Frances Hodgson Burnett. I can speak, okay? Thank you. When I say this book is comfort, I had this in the psych ward, the second psych ward. I had this. It like saved me so much of my brain cells. When I say it's comfort, I am talking from experience, okay? When I read it, we were going from summer to fall. It was September and all that, and it kept me sane, it kept me a company, it kept me feeling grounded, it kept me here, and it just kept me all smiling and giddy, and it just kept me in this mystical, magical place that I loved so much. So this is just an emotional add-in, okay? This is just an emotional add-in because I'm fucking biased. It follows this little very annoying child. Her name is Mary, I think. Her name is Mary. I forgot. I haven't read it in a while. Sorry, okay? So her name is Mary, and her parents die, and she gets sent to live with a cousin, a distant cousin, and he's this rich, very pessimistic, ostracized type of person, and they both help each other grow. When they discover a secret garden in the moor in the back of the house, and I love the magic, and I love the feels, and I love the vibe and the energy that I get from the book. And it's definitely the kind of book like The Hobbit or the Harry Potter book, especially The Hobbit, like the kind of book that you just feel like it gave you a hug, and the kind of book that you want to carry with you for the rest of your life. You know, the kind of book that I want to read to my children and to give to my children and stuff like that. That's it. That's my lovely and kind of mediocre list of books that I think would be an amazing company for you to finally say goodbye to summer and welcome fall. So let's just finish summer together, because I am going to either kill myself or someone. I fucking hate the heat. Anywho, if you have any recommendations that fit this vibe, drop them in the comments. I'm gonna read them and tell you what I think. And if you like any of these, let me know. If you've read any of these, let me know what you thought about them, because I love talking about bugs. Other than that though, thank you so much for watching. I hope everything is okay for you, and I love you. And I'm gonna see you in the next video.